last year, December 2023. I did notice he'll have sensory issues. So with them trying to put the when he had to do an MRI of his brain and his neck, and they were trying to put the cannula over his face, he freaked out, and Isaiah almost jumped off that table. We had to get him sedated anytime he did an MRI. It came to a time where we had to do a liver biopsy. So at the age of 8, Isaiah had his first liver biopsy. He did another ultrasound, another MRI of the abdomen, and it came back that Isaiah had lesions on his pancreas. So now I'm praying constantly because I don't know why I'm going through all of this. I don't know why. And every time I pray, I can always hear God tell me, Elisha is okay. I got Isaiah in the palm of my hand. Isaiah's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. I got him. And I remember one time I was in prayer. And God was speaking to me, and God was pretty much telling me that Isaiah is going to need a liver transplant. And I was just so scared. From then, I started preparing myself. I started mentally preparing myself for one. So now, after all the routine checkups, we did a second liver biopsy this year, 2024. December of 2023, a week before Christmas. His doctor, his liver doctor, amazing doctor. And I've always told her, I'm not going to say her name, but I always tell her, I trust you. I trust you. You have never failed me. You've gotten us to this point. From the age of 2, Isaiah have been seeing this doctor. And I said, I trust you. So whatever plan you come up with for my son, I trust you. I put my trust in this doctor, and I also put my trust in God, because I know at the end of the day, I'm a very spiritual person, and I know at the end of the day, God has the final say. And she called me, and we did a video visit, and I'm thinking I'm going to get some good news. And she tells me, she's like, Elisha, she's like, Isaiah liver is in stage 1 and 2. Stages 1 and 2. Once the liver gets to stage 4, it's bad. And she pretty much told me that Isaiah was going to need a liver transplant. And I cried. Everybody knew but my mom. My mom didn't know. My aunts, my mom's sisters knew, and my cousin knew. Because I didn't know how to tell my mom. My mom loved her grandchildren. I didn't know how to tell my mom. So I already knew Christmas we was going to be at my mom's sister's house. And I had posted something on Facebook, and my mom's brother called. And my mom thought he was talking about my brother, not knowing that, because my brother was sick at the time. So not knowing that, my uncle was actually talking about me. So my mom got off the phone. I'm like, you know what? Let me just tell her. That's the sign for me to tell her. So my mom got off the phone with him, and we all sat at my aunt's table, and I broke the news to my mom, and I cried. But at the same time, it was like a burden lifted off of me, because I was able to tell her. My mom is a prayer warrior. She's a minister. And her prayer life is insane. I mean, my mom get radical for God. And every time she pray, my mom go in. My mom prayed heaven and earth down. And you know, she prayed heaven and earth down for her grandbaby. So I had already been mentally preparing myself because God told me that Nigel was going to need a liver transplant. I was just waiting for the doctor to confirm it. So now, I'm thinking we're going to do everything right away. It's a whole process. Now, Nigel have to get cleared by every doctor. We had to get cleared from the ophthalmologist. We had to get cleared from the neurologist. We had to get cleared from the nephrologist. We had to get cleared from the cardiologist. And it was dragged out because we got to wait for available doctor's appointments, and it was just dragged out. And I'm like, oh my God, when is this process going to start? I've already been mentally prepared myself. I'm okay now. She told me that he needs a transplant. When is this going to start? So we can just get this over with and our lives can just begin and we can just go on and move on and just be happy. And I remember I constantly prayed. Every time I would go to this hospital, I would get panic attacks because I was just so scared. I didn't know what the doctor was going to say. Or when you're a parent, you just want to take your child pain away. You just want to take the pain away. And I remember one time Nazir told me, he's like, Mommy, I'm sick of taking all this medicine. I'm sick of having to go to the doctor back and forth. I just want to be normal. And then he's like, why Harmony don't have to go through anything? Why do I have to go through everything? And as a mom, that broke me. That broke me. That broke me. That broke me. That broke my heart. It broke my heart. And I didn't really have anything to say, but all I told him was, God allowed things to happen for a reason. We don't know why God allowed things to happen, but just know that this is a part of your testimony because you don't know who you're going to meet that's going through the same thing. And I've joined support groups on Facebook of what he was diagnosed with. And it gets so overwhelming anytime I go in those groups because there's kids that done had maybe about 10 to 12 surgeries from the time they was born. There was children who passed away because it was just so bad. There's children who can't live a normal life. There's children who walks around with a colostomy bag. There's children with the same diagnosis that go through so much. Even adults who was diagnosed with this, they go through so much. And I look at my son, and every time I go to the doctor, his doctor is so amazed. And she even said one time, she said, as much as Nazia is going through medical, she's like, Nazia is one of my most strongest patients, pretty much one of the healthiest patients I have. And she even can't believe her eyes how Nazir is able to function as like a normal little kid. And all I could hear and all I could tell myself is, but God. That's the power of God. That is the power of God. And I feel like God didn't allow me to go through the whole knowing that he needed surgery when he was younger because my faith wasn't strong. My prayer life wasn't strong. And I feel like all of this is happening now because my faith in God is strong and my prayer life is strong. And I can hear God keenly, and I feel like this is why we're going through this. So Nazir did have to have a second liver biopsy. And thank God, God proved himself again because he did another MRI and there was no lesions on his pancreas. His doctor pretty much told me I want to do another MRI of the abdomen because if there's something wrong with the pancreas, we could also do a liver transplant and also a pancreas transplant, and I could do whatever I need to do with with the liver and the pancreas at the same time, so we don't have to go in with another procedure. In spite of it all, God is constantly proving himself to me. And all I could hear is God saying, Elisha, don't worry, I got him. I got him. I got him. I got him. And I know God talks to him because it was one time we had to do a procedure and my mom was like, let Nana pray for you. And Isaiah was like, no, Nana, you don't need to pray for me. God already prayed for me. So now, September 18th was going to be the day we meet with the whole transplant team. And now today, September 5th. In the midst of all of this, we also had to see the nutritionist because Nizia was gaining on weight. So Nizia had to take a special type of Pediasure. He had to take a special type of supplements to help him gain weight. He started gaining weight. And then his last doctor visit, his weight started to decline. And that's when she said, we really need to start doing this transplant. 2 visits prior to that, she asked me, she's like, how do you feel about the transplant? And I told her, I said, I'm okay with it. I said, whatever you suggest, I'm okay with it. I'm fine. I know this is something that he needs, and I knew this day would come. And she said, okay. I get the phone call today, September 5th. His doctor wants to see him earlier. So now we're seeing the transplant team on the 11th of this month. And then we're also seeing his doctor on the 12th. Because it's one thing to have faith and trust God, but it's another to be a parent, to be a human and have feelings. And that mom feeling just kicks in. And you just want your child to be okay. Nazia's a strong boy. And anybody he come across says the same thing. Nazia is a warrior. And this is the beginning of our journey. I've been trying to talk to Nazia about it. And he gets mad and upset and he cried. The first time I told him he needed a liver transplant, he cried. He cried. He was so mad, he cried. And he was like, I don't want a liver transplant. And the second time I tried to tell him, he said, I'm scared. And all I could do was just hold him and cry. And thankful to Leon. He wants to see if he could be a donor. But if he can't be a donor, we are going to have to put him on the transplant list. I already have my questions for the transplant team. The coordinator, she gave me a list on how that appointment is going to go. We're going to be in the hospital for 3 hours. I have to meet with the surgeons. I have to meet with the nutritionist. I have to meet with the social worker. I have to meet with the financial advisor. And I have to meet with any of the other staff members from the transplant team. So it's going to be a lot on me. It's going to be a lot of emotions. It's just going to be a lot. And I just ask you all to keep me in your prayers. Keep me and Isaiah in your prayers. Keep our family in prayer. Because it's going to be a lot. This is it. And I just see y'all in my next video. I just need to vent. I needed to get this off my chest. Just keep me in prayer.